We got a bright mind in the house, right? We're talking roofing software, contracting software. We got a guy with a ton of experience from being with companies, just getting going, to growth, being part of the ride. This guy knows what's good. My man, Michael Gogan over here with HireBus. What's up, man?
What's up, man? How's it been?
It's been great, dude. I think the last time I saw you, dude, you were repping a Mahomes jersey at Arrowhead Stadium. Hey, big Chiefs guy over here.
I'd be lying if I said I have a Mahomes jersey, but I was probably in the picture with my kids rocking their Mahomes and Kelsey jerseys at Arrowhead. Sure.
What jersey would you be wearing?
Yeah, I don't usually rock a jersey unless it's like a college one. So like I've had so like.
You're more of a face paint guy, or
man,
what?
Like
more of a face paint guy?
No face paint. Dexter McCluster. I don't know if you remember Dexter McCluster at Ole Miss. That was probably my coolest jersey I ever owned. I owned the baby blue Ole Miss McCluster jersey.
I love the baby blues.
Yes.
Anything baby blue, I love it, man. When you're looking at HireBus, it's super cool what you guys got going on. Obviously, I don't think anybody likes the headache of hiring, finding good people, screening people, doing all these different things, and then really having no hiring process anyways. It doesn't work that great. But with HireBus, right, I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking getting people on the bus, putting them on the right seat type vibe. But how do you guys do that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head of where the name came from, of getting people in the right seat. And I would say everything with HireBus at its core kind of starts with our what we call the right seat assessment. And that's kind of like in the middle of the hiring process. And I can kind of tell you what we do before and after that. But at the core, we have taken this right seat assessment. We partnered with Behavioral Essentials, who's been in business for 30 plus years with traits-based assessments. And we said, let's take your data and what you know on your assessment tool, and let's make this for the trades. So when somebody takes our right seat assessment, it's spitting out a score on inside sales, outside sales, production manager, labor, things that, resonate with all in the home service trades. Like, oh, I have a laborer. Oh, I have a production manager.
That's huge.
So it's spitting those scores out. And so essentially our goal is, no matter what package or plan of HireBus they're on, to leverage that assessment to get people to final interviews that are interviewing and have the right attributes for that role, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, I love that. It seems super useful. So now, is there an AI component behind this bad boy too? Is that what it sounds like? Because we all love some AI right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we kind of have a couple packages. So like if you want to DIY the hiring process yourself. And when I talk about that, it's like if you enjoy going through resumes and doing those things, you can just plug in our assessment tool and some of our AI tools. We've got a resume analyzer that's going to extrapolate things from the resume and kind of make it in a really clean, easily digestible format. And so we would give you that. We have AI interview questions, and they're crazy. I mean, they are like, obviously I work for HireBus, but they're so good. Like I read the first one when I take the assessment, I read the first question for me, and it's like talking about seeing projects all the way across the finish line. And as a visionary and an ideas guy, like that's one of my weaknesses. And AI was able to extrapolate that from my assessment and my resume and say, hey, let's lean on how this guy gets projects from idea to completion. And just, that alone is super powerful, because you and I probably aren't getting there. We may have that question, but we may use that question in every interview when it's not always applicable. And it's pulling that.
So based off the applicant, you're actually getting a different experience base, because you're getting new questions now from that
resume and that assessment tool. And if you say, hey, Michael, I actually don't like resumes, I don't like phone screen interviews, just take it all off my plate. We go in at the very top of funnel and we build their job ad with them. We,
done for you.
Done for you. Basically. The only done with you is the initial steps of making sure that we have the job ad done correctly or the way they want. Their ideal candidate persona, we get that kind of molded so that we're, getting them candidates that fit their culture. And then all they do is final interviews. We say, hey, let us get you the top 3%. Depending on role, sometimes we'll shift that to like a 5% window. But let's let's remove the gut from this. Let's remove the warm bodies from the interview process. Let's just get you top tier talent to be interviewing.
So let's say that I'm a commercial roofer. I'm doing like 10 million and I need to hire out a project manager, like an office admin, and maybe something for like sales, right? What do you recommend there? What does that process look like? And let's say a big thing for me is I just want to save time right now, and I don't want to get crappy people.
Yep, absolutely. So, doing 10 million, you're probably going to be always hiring sales or always open to the idea of hiring sales. So we have a fractional recruiting piece that I would say, hey, tell me roughly how many interviews you would want to be doing a month. And we can give you data on like, hey, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 or 4 interviews per hire. And we would just be constantly running ads for you from a sales perspective, teeing those sales reps up. And we would, as we got you to where you're closer to capacity, I'd say, Nick, like, let's only give you the 9s and 10s on inside sales, outside sales, or let's only give you the 10s. Let's start building a bench of talent for you. As far as the office person or the project manager, assuming you're probably not hiring those like on repeat, we would just do what we call guaranteed hire. And so we would go and we would leverage all of the job boards. We would leverage LinkedIn. We do our, cold outreach and headhunting. And the cool thing about our guaranteed hires is you get 60 days with that hire to be a fit. That's how confident we are in the product. So we'd say, hey.
So what does that mean by guaranteed hire? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so say that office manager comes in and on day 59, they say, I'm out. You fall within the 60-day window, we will replace that hire at no cost. So we're going to go and find you that
nice.
Same thing with production manager. Some of our smaller clients, like so in your example, 10 million, that's a pretty decent sized outfit. Some of our smaller clients, they use the guaranteed hire for their sales reps as well, where they, say, hey, it's hard for me to retain sales reps. I'll take a 60-day guarantee.
You could just have that going all the time, dude. I feel like. Does anybody ever take that approach where it's just like consistently looking for
call that fractional salespeople, basically? A lot of our clients are doing that, especially with sales reps. And it's honestly a learning curve as well, because if you aren't getting to the right fits, you're turning sales reps over really fast, if that makes sense, where it's like, hey, I needed to hire 3 sales reps last week and I haven't hired any. So I'm falling kind of in that warm bodies situation where it's like, they're a warm body, they got a driver's license, I'll send them out, knowing they're probably going to turn over.
Not going to cut it.
We start getting the right people in, and what we see is that their number of hires that they need to start making compared to what they were making drastically decreases, because they're just not turning people over. We're, like you said, we're getting people in the right seat. But a lot of our roofing clients, a lot of our, just any of the like face-to-face sales type roles, they're hiring 1-2 reps every month. Our CEO owns Wise Concrete Coatings franchise. And they have, I want to say, this isn't just sales, there's some production in there. I want to say across all their locations.
And I'm sure he's using this in his own business.
He's got like 200 applicants on what he calls his bench of talent that they're not currently hiring for like that sales role or that production role. And he knows they will be. So they just got these people lined up ready. And obviously they're not all just going to sit around and wait for a job. But a lot of times you call them back up and you're like, hey, Nick, that role you applied for, we've had you kind of on our wait list for a month or whatever. We did get an opening up. I'd love to bring you in for an interview. Like, what better way than that to get people into your...
To look great, too, right? If you're waitlisting people, you're looking like you're the real deal, right? You're kind of setting the tone. So if you're doing, like, the role placement membership, then on that one, is that guaranteed that you'll get 1 hire a month? Or can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yep. As far as the guaranteed hire goes, generally speaking, you're only going to get, like, 3 to 5 in terms of like max. Like a lot of times it's just, I want an office man, depending.
You got to think, if someone's hiring for something like this for a recruiter, usually the cost is pretty significant, right? You could be looking at $5,000 up to $20,000, right? Just for one role. So either way, even at some of the price points you guys have there, it's still much less in terms of what it could be.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, obviously if you came to me and you're like, hey, I need a CEO, that's going to be on the higher end of the price point. But, we have a guaranteed hire sales rep. Like I just did one for a roofing contractor. We're getting them 3 sales reps guaranteed for 60 days. And I think it's like $7,200. So 3 reps guaranteed 60 days.
Nice.
And as far as like how long will that take? Obviously it's all market dependent, but generally speaking, it takes about 3 to 7 business days to get everything started, stood up and running. A lot of that just comes down to what their schedules look like to meet with us to make sure that we know exactly what they're looking for.
Which can push it back. Sometimes we know how it goes.
Yep.
Maybe they're driving to another close and they forget about you. It happens to the best of us.
Yep.
But either way, you got to think you're doing the sales and the marketing of the recruiting stuff, right? You're making the job ad, you're posting the ad, right? Like you're making the forms, all this kind of stuff, calendar pages. You're handling a whole load of stuff there that they just don't have to deal with.
Yeah, on the front end. And then, I mean, when you talk to contractors, sifting through resumes and doing the like manual phone screenings and setting up of final interviews and rescheduling final interviews, those 2 things alone are just enough to make you pull your hair out. It's just, there's so much.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, there's so much to it, right? It can be another part-time job for you. So it's one of those things where it's something like that at that price point. Why not just hire a specialist? I'm a big believer. It doesn't really matter what it is. When you're looking at services, when you're looking at different softwares, if don't feel like you're that strong at that area, right? Hire an expert out. And when you're looking at something like this, you're getting the most advanced stuff like AI. They know the industry. It's coming from somebody who had a franchise model and runs a franchise model, which this is what it's all about, processes like this. Is there any processes or, I guess, mistakes you're seeing with people that in this hiring process, or any trends, I guess, just in general, that we can pull from and learn from?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I hate to go to the easy answer, but I think the biggest thing is in revenue last year, and they can all tell you where they want to be in revenue this year. Every single one of them. I mean, that's no lie. I did 3 million last year. We're going to do 6 million this year. I want to do 8 million this year, whatever it is. If you followed that statement up to them and you said, what's it going to take from a hiring perspective to get there? I mean, they might have a high level.
No idea.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go all in on sales reps. Or we might need this, but they don't know, and they don't know until it gets to be too late. If that makes sense, to where now they get stuck with I refer to them as warm body hires, where it's like, man, I needed 3 sales reps 2 weeks ago, and I just now realized that, and so I'm gonna run some ads, and I'm gonna bring every single person that applies. I'm going to bring them all in to do final interviews, and I'm going to hope to find 3 warm bodies. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is waiting too long. And that fact that they wait too long opens up all the other problems of, are we taking them through a well thought out, well planned out interview process? Well, probably not, because we need to expedite that process. Do we have time to get them proper onboarding? Probably not, because I needed them 2 weeks ago. And so I feel like a lot of the other problems or trends that we see of not having a great interview process that's consistent and getting to the right people, not having great onboarding, those are direct results of reactionary hiring, because I'm already behind. I needed these people, weeks ago. And that's where bringing in somebody like us that, can do this from a software perspective, we can give that guidance. We can help people map out what's their hiring going to look like and get it there. And then I think the other piece would be at scale, a lot of these contractors have somebody that handles hiring. I was talking with a very large outfit, and they honestly don't use us yet, but they hired or fired 300 employees last year. So they brought on or lost 300 employees in 1 year. Huge outfit.
Yeah.
They have 2 people in charge of all of that. And It's easy.
Wow.
It's easy from an owner's perspective to say, no, we do all that in-house. Well, can
Right.
two people actually do a good job of hiring and firing 300 people in a year? And
No way.
and that's, I think, the thing is like we've almost just accepted the fact that there's going to be high turnover in the roofing or home service space, and there will be turnover higher probably than other trades. But it doesn't have to be as high as what it is, and that's where
Right.
getting proactive in your hiring, getting to where you're leveraging like our obviously assessment tool is great because it's built for the trades, but using something to make sure you're getting people in the right seat and having onboarding. You do those things and it's going to go a long ways in terms of retention. Same thing with, the technology piece of it. It's one thing to have a tech stack, but are you taking your new hires through the tech stack and training them on it, making sure that they know how to?
100%. Right. It's like this magic beans thing, right? Sometimes where it's, oh no, this tech stack's going to be the magical thing. No matter what, it's difficult, right? No matter what, hiring, retaining good people, setting up your software, all this stuff, no matter what, no matter your partner, what you're using, it can be difficult. But think about this. If you're an owner, you don't really know much about hiring, you don't know how to interview, you don't know how to find applicants, you don't know what to ask them, what to score them on. You do this thing where you take responsibilities and you fire somebody, just give them to somebody else that kind of makes up a whatever, right? It's like you got to bring in somebody who's a specialist in this area. And now when you're looking at the sales side, I feel like the sales side is like the hardest, where you're looking at just like crazy turnover. You don't know who's lying, who's legit, right? Like, how do you handle that process?
Yeah, it's a great question. AI's making that better for us every single day because AI is able to grab out of all sorts of places and it can do it virtually instantly, if that makes sense. And so we use AI heavily today. We're calling it 3.0 will be coming out this summer, and it's honestly it's close. So I don't know when this podcast will go live. 3.0 may be live when this podcast goes
Soon.
live, but we actually are doing a piece in there that will be like an AI phone screen, and it's amazing in terms of speed to lead because when you think about your dream, apartment complex or commercial roof that you want to get, contractors go out of their way to make sure that nothing gets missed and they're all over those leads. The same needs to be true for applicants that you want to hire. The good ones, you've got to get into their inbox. You got to get them on the phone quickly. And so what we're developing is from the point they land on the application to about 20 or 25 minutes later, depending on if they have everything ready, ability to upload resume, those things, they will do an AI phone screen at the end of that. So in a 25-minute window, they will start with the application and they will already do a phone screen. And I've seen it in beta right now, and it's wild. It will take an answer that you give, or maybe it'll grab something from your resume and an answer you give, and it'll say, hey, Nick, I see here in your resume it says you have 6 years of experience, but on the questionnaire you said you only have 3. Can you help me understand the discrepancy in that? And when you think about that, and AI being able to just grab these different things and formulate questions in a phone screen scenario, it's so powerful because it's making sure that you're giving honest answers and it's seeing through the BS that you're kind of talking about. Like, hey, why isn't there consistency in this answer? And as humans, it's tough for us to maybe grab those data points. AI hits it every time, and just hearing the conversation, it's wild how good it is. And all we're using that for is to help us determine, should we for sure do a final interview with this person, or should we have them reviewed manually by a human element? Because we want to productize everything. That's our goal, is to be able to productize the hiring process.
For sure.
You as a contractor.
It looks like you even have almost, okay, so they can do it if they do it themselves. Like, it looks like they can automate some of their job ads, right? Where it can help with AI can actually craft that ad, and then from there you can go into the other AI side of it, where it's that behavioral science or whatever you want to call it, and it's going to assess the candidate right? And then it's going to give them a score. It'll have their role, and it's almost like a CRM for your ideal hirees, or just to track candidates, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's kind of like that, Kanban style board or pipeline board is probably an easy way to like visualize it. So we build you that pipeline board, and if we're doing the hiring for you, realistically, you can just go in and see how many do I have in each stage, but you don't have to do anything with that. You just see, hey, I've got 7 in applied, I've got 12 in phone screen to schedule, or whatever stage they're in. And yeah, it's,
I like it.
Building that out.
I think you guys are onto something. I like it.
I hope so. Yeah, we've got about 500 clients across the home service space right now leveraging us to hire on a daily basis. And obviously that data is so powerful as well. Like, we learn from that. Like, we learn how to use the job boards more effectively. We know what works on Indeed. We know what works on LinkedIn.
Nobody likes hiring. The whole process just sucks. Like you said, it's like, all right, I got to put an ad together. I got to go on all these different platforms. Then I'm going to go through all the resumes. Then I'm going to go try to write interview questions. Then I'm going to follow up with them. Then it's just a little bit ridiculous, especially on the sales side. If you're looking to scale door knocking or whatever it might be, right? Whatever it is, you just having consistent flow of good potential fits that fit your system. That's huge. Think about what the ROI can be there, right? If you have consistent good reps, that can be absurd.
Yeah, I use the persona. I call him Stick Around Steve. Like, what does Stick Around Steve cost you? It's everybody talks about the reps that are turning over and how awful that is, and those are bad. They do cost you a lot of money. But what is like having that rep that shows up on time, is presentable, and runs appointments for 6 months before you really understand his numbers and understand Steve's not closing any deals? What does that cost you? And that's where, leveraging a software tool like HireBus is going to help get the right people in those right seats. Because that's that Stick Around Steve guy that does everything right except for actually close deals. There may be a right seat in your business that's perfect for Steve, and you just hired him as a sales rep because that's what you're always hiring for, is sales.
Oh, yeah. So is there any other kind of trends that you're noticing from the candidate side, like requests or way they're going about things, or any kind of just trends in the marketplace when you're looking at talent in the construction trades world?
Yeah, it's a great question. And some of your listeners will disagree with me. We aren't in a stage where people just don't want to work anymore. We're not in that world. And that's seemingly the trend everybody points to, is like, nobody wants to work anymore. Unfortunately, where we are in the world is there's so many good opportunities and good jobs out there that it's extremely competitive to get the top talent. And kind of back to when I was talking about speed to lead, you don't want to lose that big multifamily, or you don't want to lose that big commercial, or even just that large residential. You don't want to lose those jobs. So you're on top of it. You're getting back to them almost instantly. You have all these automations set up to make sure that you stay in front of that lead. You're doing all these things. Unfortunately, the trend is we don't treat hiring the same way. And the people you want to hire have options. And if they're out on the market and they're looking for something, they're going to get scooped up pretty fast. They're going to get caught pretty quickly. And so what ends up happening, if you aren't, quick to the lead, you don't have that speed to candidate that you need to have, well, you're going to be left with the people that didn't get caught by the ones that are out there actively hiring and quick to candidate.
Exactly.
And that's
100%. Think about this. If you're building your team, let's say you're building the Green Bay Packers, and I need to build through free agency, right? Do you think these free agents are sitting there waiting for me to call them? They're making moves. They're signing deals, right? And what they're looking for a good culture. They're looking for whatever. But impact on lead conversion, that's what pull this stat out, right? And it's almost so fundamental that we just pass over it. We just think it doesn't really matter. And I know this is more on the sales side, but it's the same. Either way, you're selling. So 391% boost in conversions when contacting a lead within 1 minute. 391%. Just think about that.
Yep. And And to take that one step further, it's, if I'm out looking, maybe I'm looking at multiple jobs, but if I'm able to, like our 3.0 is going to be able to do, is take you from interest and job fill out through a phone screen. I may say after 20 minutes, like, wow, that was pretty cool. Let me see where that one goes. You know what I'm saying? Like I might pause on it. I might, because I can go on LinkedIn or I can go on Indeed and I can be rapid firing for jobs. Like I can be applying like crazy to these jobs. But if you have something that's different in terms of your application process, to where it's like, oh, well,
For sure.
I feel like I did more than just apply there. I feel like I did round one of interview and I got a thank you message after I filled it out and they told me what the next steps are going to be. That also slows it down a little bit too, to back to your, Green Bay Packers analogy, where it's like, oh, I just had a great call with XYZ team. I'm definitely interested there. Let me maybe put a pause on some of these other conversations and see where that one goes. And I think I love your analogy there, because we're, not far from training camp starting here. It's going to be kicking off anytime soon. And you see it all the time where the media says, man, this team overpaid for this person. This team, what are they doing, paying that guy that much? Well, there's only so many talented individuals out there that,
supply and demand.
And you may have to.
There's not 32 quarterbacks who can play at a decent level in the world.
No, and yeah, you're gonna probably have to overpay. Now, I'm not saying go overpay for sales reps, but I would darn sure make sure my sales compensation packages are in line with or a little bit above that average. You know what I'm saying? Because like if I'm juggling 3 companies in Denver, Colorado that I'm going to go work for as a sales rep, and all are the same on paper, all seemingly have great culture, all places I would want to work. Well, it's going to come down to like the benefits and what are you doing for me outside? And that's a big thing as well. Like, today's day and age, it's not just the compensation, but it's all the other pieces that go along with it. Do you have lunch on Friday?
The cultural vibes, right? The modern, yeah.
Do you have lunch on Friday?
Purpose?
Do you have?
Yeah.
I think back to my days at Company Cam, and I absolutely would love going in and working on the weekends for a few hours, knocking stuff out, because A, it was quiet, but B, I could take my kids. They would go sit on the switch. There was a little snack area where they could go and just eat their little hearts out. And, if you think about it, it's like Company Camp didn't do that because they wanted me to come in and work on Saturday, but a byproduct of having those things available in the office got me in there working on Saturdays, knocking out projects. And that's
exactly
those are the things you got to
100%.
think about from a business perspective.
You got to sell the vision. You got to make it so compelling. You got to say, hey, we can do the impossible, all these exciting things, right? And make it a team mission where it gets so exciting. Where I remember the same thing. We'd have people where they'd be like, I worked till 11 o'clock last time. I'm like, dude, we got done at 4 o'clock. We all left. Oh, I was ripping. I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. But it was just like at the office, right? We had 5-hour energies. We had the bells. We had TVs. We make it a vibe. And I think it's funny because it's almost a good lesson for roofers out there, right? Think about how much you could stand out if you brought in like that startup, that almost right Silicon Valley type vibe in a way. You probably could stand out a lot as that modern contractor where it's like young talent wants to work there.
Absolutely. I'll throw you some examples. Like if you're listening to this and you say, well, what does that look like? Go check out AFCO Roofing. Go check out, Cornerstone down in South Carolina is a good example. Not from the roofing space, but go check out Nick Slavic. He's up in Minnesota, painting contractor. I'm trying to think of some other, there's a bunch of them out there. Webfoot, maybe. There's a concrete coating company up in the Northeast or Northwest, Pacific Northwest. It's like Webfoot Concrete Coatings or something. Check them out. Like they all have created cultures that people are like, man, I want to go work at that place. That looks awesome. And I can promise you that they're not paying like anything crazy. I guarantee you they're at the median and above, but they're not the highest probably paying companies out there, but they have a great culture. They have, they're doing all these.
They can bring their pets. They're using good software. They're doing fun activities on the weekends. You can advance in your career, right? There's so many things, right? There's games, there's happy hours, you name it. And it just looks like they're killing it, and it looks like it's fun.
Yeah, I totally. You said the happy hours. One of the best at that. He's a Colorado. I think he's kind of the Greeley area, but Justin Dant was Soderbergh. I mean, that boy always out with his team, having lunch, having dinner, and when he's not posting about,
he's got the Tesla too.
He's got the Tesla Cybertruck. He's setting up tents outside of commercial builds. Like, he's doing things that scream, hey, this is an awesome place to work. And then when his team is sharing those posts out there, I mean, it's making recruiting a lot easier for him because his team's doing it. They're talking about how great of a place it is to work.
I mean, dude, when I first moved here, I was working for a software company, and I was just cold calling. And I had some buddies that were just killing it, but I'm like, dude, you guys should just freaking go into roofing sales or something like that. They're making crazy dough, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you go steal some of that talent, I'm telling you, it's a good fit. But man, hey, what's the best way to check you guys out? Do you guys prefer demo? Is it you just sign up type vibe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it, hey, hit you up? What's the deal?
Yeah, so I'll give you two ways. I always recommend, we call them hiring audits. We'll kind of demo some of the product, but realistically, we want to sit down with you and kind of map out where you're at today, where you want to be in 12 months, and kind of give you baseline data on what that will take. You can set up a hiring audit at hirebus.com/betterboss. That's the page with you guys, Better Boss. And I did this from day one at Company Cam. Michael at hirebus.com. You can have my personal email, and I love it. Still to this day, I don't get emails to Michael at hirebus.com, but I used to even give my cell phone number out on like webinars I would do. And I'll still to this day get text messages of like, hey, and I'll reply like, hey, I'm not sure. Are you trying to get HireBus or are you trying to get Company Cam? Oh, I need something with my Company Cam. Like, I can't help you, but I'll get you to somebody. But Michael at HireBus, any question you have, if you're like, hey, I don't need HireBus, but I need help with job descriptions, I got you. I don't need HireBus, but you said to be, competitive on my pay. Can you help me understand how should I be paying my production managers, my sales reps, whatever? Happy to share our resources. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of data on that, and we can tell you what pay structures are successful and what ones maybe are a little tough.
Hell yeah. We appreciate this. Real quick too then, so your story is, weren't you a teacher at some point too? Isn't that kind of your background? So then how did you get into roofing software, into two cool, fun startups and stuff like that? Yeah,
so it's a great question. So that visionary brain I have, like, I like doing things. I like doing big projects. I like, thinking of,
this is a big project.
And so I actually went from the world to buying a donut company locally with a silent partner. I was super small equity stake. He had that. And I said, we're going to take this thing to make it massive. And we kind of did. I mean, we sold over $1 million in annual contracts for donuts, which is a lot of donuts on a daily basis.
Hell yeah.
And the only problem with that was, if you want a 24/7, 364-day-a-year job, it's donuts. And a buddy that I knew from high school actually was employee, 3 or 4 at Company Cam, and was like, hey, you got to come check this out. I became employee 9 at Company Cam, wrote that for about 8 years, and was like, left on amazing terms, still love everyone there, but I was ready for that startup world again, and no better.
How did it feel to be part of that, though, to go up like from so little to what they are now? And then, like, how do you pick your next one when you're looking for that next kind of winner?
Yeah, so Luke Hansen, CEO at Company Cam, was extremely, extremely smart, and he came from the roofing world, had a family roofing business, solved an extremely, extremely big problem for contractors, but stayed very true to the problem. And I think when you think about, like, what led you to HireBus, And it's kind of that exact same thing. Like Brandon Vaughn's our CEO. He owns Wise Concrete Coatings. So he comes from the trades. He understands the trades. Very, 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 granular problem we're solving for. We're not trying to do things we're solving that hiring problem.
Very simple. Didn't add too much, not adding too much bloat almost,
Exactly.
right? A need.
And honestly, my days as working in the donuts, like owning a donut company, I truly understood how difficult hiring is. And I made a whole bunch of them. So, while it's not hiring the wrong sales rep or production manager in terms of a roofing company, I've hired the wrong person to be my production manager in the donut world, or the fryer. And I've been in the warm body situation where it's like, Nick, if I don't hire this person right here, I'm flipping donuts tonight, and I don't want to flip donuts tonight.
Exactly.
I don't want to deliver.
Oh yeah.
So it's just kind of a perfect fit, and it's something I'm passionate about. Is just helping contractors grow their businesses, and people is the key to that.
And if I'm a roofer out there listening and I'm interested in hiring and you're going to check out HireBus, honestly, I would do the done for you. Just pay it and just don't even have to deal with it. 100%. Keep your time. Keep your sanity. Don't even try to learn it. Hand it off. Because the thing is, if you make one bad hire, that alone is going to cost you so much money. It's ridiculous. And more time.
Yep.
So that's what I would recommend, but check it out. Definitely worth checking out and seeing what they can do for you guys. But my man, I'm going to leave you with the floor now. Words of wisdom. It could be your favorite book. It could be a quote. It could be a tip. It could be something that you read in the comic book. Whatever you want, man. You let me know, right? It could be your favorite Patrick Mahomes quote. Whatever it is.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with a quote that I was probably still in college when I heard this quote. I was an assistant football and assistant basketball coach, and I don't remember if it was football or basketball. And the head coach told me after a game, I was young, early 20s, late teens, whatever it was. I was beating myself up, and I wasn't even the head coach. But he's like Michael, tomorrow morning when we watch film, what I've found is it's never as good or as bad as you think it is in the moment. And I think that's such a valuable statement and such powerful words for business owners, because owning a business is hard and it's a challenge. And so what I would say for all of you listening to this, whether you're the owner or not, in the moment it's never as good or as bad as it seems. And I think that's so important that don't just throw your hands up in the moment if it seems really bad. And if it seems really good, maybe wait until tomorrow morning to decide if I'm going to go buy that new $100,000 boat or whatever it is. It's not.
Oh yeah. I love that, because in the last episode I did it with New Era Roofing's owner Jose. My buddy lives out here, and we were just talking about that, right? Where nobody talks about the truth and the reality of actually running these businesses and how difficult it is, and how to give yourself some freaking credit. And anybody who's posting, they're usually posting all the highlights, all the wins, all the success. But we all know, if we've been in entrepreneurship, if we've been in the startup life, we all know it is a roller coaster. We thought we were a hero. We thought we were a zero. And for me, it's sticking in the fight, right? And trying to keep yourself as even keel as you can, which is not easy, right? But that kind of sets the tone for your decision making, for the team and their energy, all that kind of stuff, right? But don't be afraid to ask for help. And let's be for real, we all been there. It ain't easy. But we're proud of you, everybody out there grinding, making it happen, baby. All these contractors out there making it happen. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Check out HireBus. Make sure you check out him on social media. Maybe add Gogan on Facebook and whatnot, right? So you can see him face painting for the Chiefs games. But we'll see you later, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Nick.
Later. Boom.